President Obama also wanted to draw down in Iraq. So let's turn to Iraq, and you've written so much about it in your book, The Shia Revival. As you know, there's been an uptick in violence. More than 700 Iraqis were killed recently. Bombs and shootings are continuing to escalate this month. What do you think are the main reasons behind the violence? And is Iraq possibly on the brink of a civil war?
I think Iraq is also very fragile, largely because the American troops in the ground and the surge, created a circumstance for the Iraqis to agree to a political deal. Now, that did not mean that all the wounds had healed, or that the different sides trusted each other, or that they didn't think they could do better had the Americans not been in the way. Now, when you do that, the longer you stay, the more likely it is that the deal will begin to stick. That's what happened in Bosnia. We helped negotiate the deal, and the NATO is still in Sarajevo. And the longer it stays, the more time there is for the deal to become fact on the ground and the wounds to heal, and to have a new generation be born and be raised used to the deal. So the more chances of success they will have. In Iraq, we left quickly. So in Iraq, really, the things hadn't gelled. So the Shiites began to think without Americans, they could actually get more out of the Sunnis. The Sunnis, seeing no American protection, have resorted back to, at least elements of them resorted back to violence. The deal between the two sides is coming apart. And therefore, you have all the makings for Iraq to return to some kind of a showdown between the protagonists, the Kurds, the Sunnis, and the Shiites, because none of them really sees that the deal the Americans put in place is holding, and there is no Americans to support their own deal. And then you also have outside pressure coming from Syria in the form of another sectarian fight that's spilling over into Iraq. So Iraq may very well be consumed with undesirable conflict.
Do you see a solution for the violence, or do you expect the situation to continue to deteriorate?
Well, one way of trying to give Iraq a breathing room is to help the fighting in Syria end. The longer it lingers there, the more danger it is to Iraq. So some kind of a end to the conflict in Syria is beneficial to Iraq. And then there might be room for the United States to try to engage Iraq, the different factions in Iraq, in a much more proactive way to see whether you can tamp down the temperature between them. We don't have enough troops in the ground to sort of suffocate the fighting, to force them to not fight. We just don't have that. So best we can do is to try to preempt a meltdown by trying to bridge the differences and dissuade the different sides from doing things that could be very provocative.